5 major advantages to training with EXSPEED on WOODWAY treadmills. Number 1, increased power output. Multiple research studies have shown that while training uphill, either on the treadmill or over the ground, an athlete will be able to increase the motor recruitment patterns of the glutes, quads, hip flexors, and gastrocnemius muscles. These increased motor recruitment patterns will eventually carry over to increased stride length while sprinting. Sprinting is basically defined as stride length times stride frequency, which leads me to the second advantage, increased stride frequency. Stride frequency is typically increased by performing overspeed training, which basically states that you can increase an athlete's speed by forcing them to run at speeds slightly faster than that which they are accustomed to. This is performed very safely and efficiently on a high-speed treadmill at elevation by setting the speeds and elevation in such a way that it will push the athlete to run speeds slightly higher than they're accustomed to. As the athlete begins to drift back on the belt a little bit, the coach can then spot the athlete by placing his or her hand just below the sacrum of the athlete's pelvis and keep them on there for the duration of that specific run. The athlete will then be able to recall those higher speeds when needed within their sporting activity. The third advantage is improved sprint mechanics. Anybody who's done a whole lot of sprint training with athletes will tell you that you can increase sprint mechanics by performing specific drills. That is true, but one of my frustrations is that many athletes perform poorly when you ask them to perform a high knee running activity on the ground because they have not been trained so in the past. This is easily changed and modified by putting an athlete at elevation on a treadmill. Subconsciously, the athlete will realize that if they don't get that knee up, heel up, toe up, good postural position, they will not be able to stay on the treadmill. Thus, they do it very quickly and efficiently with very little coaching. The other advantage as it relates to sprint mechanics is that there's no need to videotape an athlete anymore. There's no need to stand and watch an athlete barking out orders to improve running mechanics and then wait for them to come back and give more corrections and more feedback. That athlete is running right in front of you the whole time. You can give them cues. You can easily look at their gait while sprinting and make changes as needed. The fourth advantage, increased metabolic conditioning. We all know that training the body's energy systems is important, but probably the most important for the speed and power athlete is teaching them to handle lactate. Lactate will typically fatigue a speed and power athlete before they run out of any kind of energy or have problems with their aerobic or anaerobic energy systems. So we can increase their metabolic conditioning by improving their lactic acid tolerance. This is performed by teaching the athlete to handle increased loads over time. The three most accepted means for increasing lactic acid tolerance is overspeed training, hill training, and interval sprint training. All three of these occur simultaneously within the EXSPEED program. The other advantage when it comes to metabolics with the EXSPEED program is it's the only program which combines the IMET metabolic analyzer. The IMET will allow us to look at anaerobic threshold, max heart rate, and recovery heart rate during an initial graded exercise test. This information is then used to create specific recovery heart rate zones and look at specific intensities and metabolic loads during the treadmill program. This allows us to be very individualized and specific to each athlete. The fifth and last advantage is increased core activity. On the treadmill, athletes can perform a variety of sprints while holding onto the bar, which will increase core activity by forcing the athlete to stabilize the pelvis. This increased core activity can then be taken and applied in other sporting activities such as jumping, lifting, throwing, and agility techniques. So as you can see, with all these advantages, EXSPEED and WOODWAY combine for a truly superior speed training program.